After yet another loss for the Calgary Flames, frustration is starting to boil over within the organization and certain players are being called out. After Flames aggressor Martin Pospisil took a late penalty against the archrival Edmonton Oilers, blame was placed on the Slovakian for throwing the game away. Flames head coach Ryan Huska had plenty to say on the matter, and we will get into all that and more in this video. But first, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And look, we may have lost a rivalry game, but it's not all bad. We can stick to the positives, even though we do have to talk about Huska speaks on Pospisil. And Huska obviously had plenty to say after the unfortunate loss to the Oilers last night. It would have been amazing to be 2-0 in the BOA, the Battle of Alberta, so far this season, but it just didn't go our way. Even with the Oilers not having McDavid, the Flames could not capitalize. So we're going to take a look at a great article here from Eric Francis of Sportsnet, and he writes, Pospisil's sloppy penalty adds to Flames' recent woes. It's not okay, quote unquote. You can guess who that quote's from based on the title of this video, but as you can see there, 4-2 for the Oilers. We don't need to dwell on that too much at all. And one thing I will say, just to kind of preface what goes on in this video, is calls out isn't necessarily always putting the blame on someone. It's just more so, look, I'm calling you out. You need to step up a little bit, because let's face it, Pospisil has not been the player that we expected him to be. He hasn't quite had just that same oomph that he had last year in terms of both, a bit of offensive prowess here and there, some skill on display, obviously a bit of a scoring touch as well as the aggression that doesn't go overboard, but as we've seen, it kind of has gone overboard a bit, and we'll see it more in this video. So let's dive in. Minutes after his team's 5th loss in the last 6 games, Ryan Huska wasn't in the mood to sugarcoat anything. It's not okay, said the Flames coach, referring to a late penalty by Martin Pospisil that essentially cost his club the game Sunday against the Oilers. So, true. I mean, this is more so Eric Francis obviously putting the pure blame on Pospisil here, but it is true that, Ryan Huska says, it's not okay. Taking that penalty, it was not okay. In a tie game, maybe tensions are a little high. And of course, it's not like it was a stupid roughing penalty or anything. But still, it's just a penalty that can't be taken. You gotta be careful. Hey, he's the type of player who has to play with an edge, but it's not a reckless type style that he has to play, because at the end of the day, points are so valuable. That's obviously continuing the quote from Huska. So he had a lot to say on Pospisil and on this loss, of course. It's so hard to win in this league that if you overstep your boundary a little bit, it costs a team. Boom, there you go. There's him saying, kind of calling out Pospisil, saying that this penalty costs the team. Pretty wild as from Huska, who normally doesn't speak out like this. So I think he understands it, and he's got to really work to be a better player in that regard for us. And of course, brings it back to the positive sense, not totally putting the blame on anyone, but just saying, look, I'm a coach, we will coach him sort of thing, but he knows what he needs to do, and we really need to work to be a better player. And of course, we want to see that. As Pospisil sat in the penalty box for an offensive zone high stick, key offensive zone there, made it super unnecessary. Why are you doing that in the O-zone? But either way, as Pospisil sat in the penalty box for an offensive zone high stick on Mattias Ekholm with 10 minutes remaining, Zach Hyman broke a 2-2 deadlock the Flames had fought so hard to come back in. The Flames were unable to tie it up thanks in part to an egregious too-many-men penalty with 2 minutes remaining that led to an empty netter. That was also purely unacceptable. And in my personal opinion, yes, the Pospisil penalty in a way led to the loss. Of course, the too-many-men penalty at the end also didn't help at all. But that's not all the whole reason why this game, kind of went to the pits, shall we say, as my grandma would say, the pits. There were many things, and the one thing for me that's really starting to get on my nerves is the Flames cannot start a game. And it's funny because we no longer have Jacob Markstrom, so we're no longer giving up, the first shot in every single game. We did in this one, of course, but not in every single game. But still, the Flames just can't get a good start this season, and it's really, really tough. Even in the most recent game they won, 3-0 against the Devils, they were arguably awful for the first 40 minutes, but somehow pulled out the win. Awful offensively. They were great defensively. And even some of the games they've won as well, like against Vancouver, of course, there was the big comeback. There was another one earlier in the year. I can't even remember who it was against. Was it Philly? or someone, and either way, someone we came back against. You can't always do that. The Flames need to have better starts. What's going on there? We've talked about the special teams as well. The special teams really need to get going. I know we scored a power play goal in this one, which was great to see. Fantastic. And a shorthanded goal, actually, now that I think about it. But still, it needs to be a little bit better. As my father very much so pointed out, Kevin Rooney is just not the best player in the world. And he easily could have cleared the puck out of the zone on the winning goal by Hyman, but wasn't able to. So Pospisil, as the one who took the penalty, takes a lot of the blame, but Kevin Rooney as well. And I know a lot of you guys in the comment section are not big fans of Kevin Rooney, would like to see him sit out, and that's just another reason there. But either way, there's many reasons why the Flames are losing. This time, there was no benching that followed Pospisil's miscue, as happened earlier this year when he took a pair of minors against Pittsburgh, so he wasn't benched after that. Last year, Pospisil was 13th in the NHL with 238 hits and 6th with 109 penalties, two stats that often go hand in hand. In Friday's win, he had 7 hits, making him one of the most valuable players on the team, given their game plan revolves around being a punishing, hard team to play against for some teams. Still, it can be hard at times to accept such miscues when the game is on the line. So there you go. We know what kind of player Pospisil is supposed to be. Now let's see what he has to say. It feels pretty bad, especially when I tried to be careful on that kind of penalty, said Pospisil when asked how it felt to be sitting in the box when Hyman so deftly converted a net front dish by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. What a question to ask someone too. How did it feel sitting in the box? It's all your fault, buddy. I tried to lift his stick and it was a high stick. Yeah, it's a terrible feeling, but again, he does have to be a little bit more careful. It feels bad and it can't happen, especially in a tied game. I have to learn from it. That's great. You know, you should be learning from it. But as Eric Francis writes here, we've heard him say it before. It sounds like a couple having an argument where the man always apologizes first and says, blah, 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 I'll never do it again. And then, of course, it happens again. Whatever. Either way, we still love Pospisil. We see the potential in him. This loss wasn't purely because of him. It just was a bad penalty. Huska knows it. The fan base knows it. The rest of the team knows it, but most importantly, Pospisil himself knows it. And while the talented young winger deserves credit for owning it, it's hard to believe the lad who had 371 penalty minutes over his 2 years of U.S. junior hockey can ever play a style in which he avoids such fate at the odd crucial time. Every game I try to be careful, Pospisil said. It was bad luck, but I think I'm getting better, and hopefully it won't happen again. And that's what you want to hear. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but it's a debate. Should Pospisil change the way he plays, change the type of player he is? Not necessarily, but being more careful would be very nice. And of course, we care about his health first and foremost at the end of the day. So it's baby steps, and we're just going to continue on that line until hopefully everything works out in the end. Now let's look ahead at the Flames' schedule for this week, because it is an interesting one. The Flames are actually heading out east, where they will first play in Montreal at the Bell Center on Tuesday against the Habs. That should be a great one. Then in Thursday, they are in Boston to face the Bruins. And then on Saturday, they go out to the great vacation destination of Buffalo, New York to face the Sabres in a matinee game. So a little bit of a road trip here. Interesting that, they play the Habs, but they aren't going to Ontario at all. That's obviously later in the year. But this is a really big road trip to kind of see what type of Flames team this is, because there's some tough matchups here. Well, the Bruins are really the only really good team here, if they even are at this point anymore. But either way, it'll be fun to face Lindholm. But it'll still be interesting to see how they play. Totally on the road, first big road trip of the year. It'll be interesting to see who gets the starts in net, as obviously we saw Vladar get the first back-to-back game so far this year, and it didn't quite go to plan. Did Vladar play bad? No, but still, didn't quite go to plan. And the matinee game in Buffalo, who knows how much energy they will have after a crazy wild Friday night out in Buffalo. We'll just have to wait and see. But there you go. There's the schedule looking ahead. Now let's wrap this one up with the comment of the day, as we love to do. And I actually didn't record a video yesterday, so this one comes all the way back from Saturday, and it comes from CGY Calgary Iltis, something like that. Either way, Coronado's playing is improving. He shouldn't be in the fourth line, of course. The fourth line is for grinders and energy, and Coronado there could regress and get hurt. He needs to be on the first or second line. That's why he got sent down. He's still young and could get hurt and regress like Peltier. Peltz needs to gain confidence and get his game back prior to the shoulder injury. So a lot going on there, but of course, Coronado actually has been on a new line. He was playing with Coleman and Backlund against Edmonton, and it didn't quite go to plan. They were on the ice for pretty much all of the Oilers' goals, at least the 5-on-5 ones, and that does hurt a little bit, but it's great to see he is getting a better opportunity already. Hopefully he can prove that as time goes on. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.